we have a choice to either surrender or to take action. And when I was enjoying my day today, in the midst of just enjoying the weekend and stuff like that, I was also writing. And in the script I'm writing currently, I was having this dialogue between two of my characters, and they said something that was interesting that was, obviously meant for the plot itself. And I kind of want to share a little bit about that and how that kind of relates to making the decision in the moment when it comes to the motivation of needing to change in our daily life.
And who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Welcome back to the Winter Arc Podcast. Today is September the 20th, and this is journal entry number 16. So in the midst of just enjoying my Saturday and this weekend today, I was just writing a lot, and the script that I've been writing, I wanted to share kind of the dialogue between these two characters real quick, because it made me think twice about the fact that we have the choice of taking our motivations and actually taking action in the midst of feeling motivated, or just simply being indecisive and just choosing not to do anything about it and later regretting it. The first character says, "What's going on? I didn't choose this." And the next person says, and the next character says, "None of us did." And I just want to relate this point to this. So you don't really need to know the plot to this script, because I don't really want to share it at this moment while I'm writing it and still and stuff. But the whole point of this moment is these characters do not have the choice in the moment to change their circumstances. They need to adapt to it, and they need to take action in the moment of the plot that they're in right now. And it kind of made me think about how this can be applied in our daily life. Like me and you, we are faced with decisions and circumstances that have actually been very circumstantial. It's called determinism. And determinism is when there's different circumstances and different things that fall onto our lap, and we don't really have free will over the different things that fall into our life. But for instance, determinism is like this. Like, let's say you're going to go to the store and you need to get like a certain brand of like chocolate or something. I don't know. You finally end up going to the store and you eventually come across these two types of chocolates, but there's not a lot of choices. So between those two choices of chocolates, those are the only things that you can choose between. And you are left to your deterministic choices in the moment. And so the same thing happens, I think, in our daily lives. I think that we are sometimes like, well, if only things were different. Well, things aren't different, and you need to adapt to the situation that you're in right now. And I think that this is just the point. When we are dealt certain circumstances and certain situations in life, we need to be able to choose between these situations, because at the end of the day, we can either choose to do nothing and to never address the problems in our life and never actually change for the better in the midst of our situations, in the midst of our circumstances, and in the midst of an environment that we may not fully be able to feel motivation in. We either have the choice of simply doing nothing or taking action in the moment. And like these characters, for instance, in this script, in this plot, they have chosen to do something about it. They didn't want to choose it. They didn't need to choose it, because they could have just simply gave up, right? But the point is that I'm trying to make is that you either have the choice of inaction or action. You have the choice of taking the circumstances that you have, and maybe they're not the greatest circumstances. Maybe they're not the greatest situation, but you've been given deterministic choices to choose between. And they may not be the best choices to choose between, but they are the choices you have. And so you have the choice of action and implementing it and doing the best you can in the moment and the resources and the talents and times and treasure you have been given, or you have the choice of disregarding everything and just simply giving up. What will it be? That's the question I leave you, and that's the question I leave myself even. Will I mentally just give up in the midst of my circumstances, in the midst of my situations, or will I choose, you know what? I have no other choice but to pursue. I have no other choice but to change. I have no other choice but to continue. Because the problem is that sometimes it is really easy to just quit. It is really easy to just give up. But if we choose to quit, if we choose to give up, then we're going to learn very quickly of how much we paid the price. Because at the end of the day, the price you pay in the moment of decision is far less than the price of regret